All right. For the folks that just joined in, we'll get things started here very soon. Just gonna let a few people trickle in. Feel free to grab a glass of wine and cocktail and cookies if that was your preference, and enjoy. It's a nice afternoon. All right, that should be good. I'll let some people trickle in. But in the meantime, wanted to introduce myself and first and foremost say thank you very much for hopping on today. Really appreciate it. I know I've gotten a chance to connect with a few of you already, but my name's Austin Trika. I'm the regional sales director here for InsightFinder AI. We really appreciate your time to hop on with us for this virtual happy hour and webinar. Hopefully, you have a glass of wine in front of you and maybe some cookies. But yeah, we have a jam-packed session for you throughout this afternoon. Um, I want to first start to kick things off and pass things over to our COO, Chief Operating Officer, John Whittington, and he will start from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. As Austin said, my name is John Whittington. I'm the COO here at InsightFinder based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you for joining us for this virtual happy hour. So as he mentioned, feel free to have that beverage or that crumble cookie and then we'll explore the world of AI observability. I'd like to introduce two speakers to you today. The first speaker is our founder and CEO, Helen Gu. She's currently based in New York, and I say currently because she also lives down in North Carolina as a NC State professor. She has published over 90 papers. She has 11 patents filed, which I think 10 have been issued, and she is without a doubt the busiest person I've ever known. So Helen will provide an overview of our solution and share some success stories as well. And our second speaker is our VP of Product, Ciaran Byrne. Ciaran is based in Silicon Valley. He has many years of experience in leading all aspects of product management and strategy and just overall execution with a tremendous track record. So we're very honored to have him on our team. And Ciaran will walk you through the solution in a little bit more detail. So before we do that, we wanted to ask you guys a few questions and just take 3 or 4 minutes here. And if you don't mind, the way we wanted to do it, if you kind of scroll your mouse over the Zoom screen, you should see a React button. I know some people were using them earlier. And what we'd like to do is just ask you a question and have you respond with a thumbs up or thumbs down. And so if you don't mind answering this first question for us, and if you have any trouble scrolling over that React and finding the thumbs up or down, let us know in the chat here. But this first question we wanted to ask you is, are you deploying AI models this year, whether it be machine learning or LLMs, and whether you've already deployed or you're planning to deploy? We'd assume that'd be a yes. Very good. Thank you, guys. Very good. Thank you for that. Our second question, is there a goal or a plan to manage and monitor these models? So in the future or now, just a thumbs up or down. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. And are you concerned about costs of maintaining these models that you're deploying? Thank you, Andrew. Very much appreciated. All right. Thank you, Ramesh. Ryan. All right. Very good, guys. Randy. Number 4, do you see model drift as a problem now or potentially in the future? Very good. Thank you for that. Number 5, is LLM hallucination an issue now or possibly in the future? All right. Thank you, folks. And then the last question, and this one's just one we're just curious if you'd be interested in the ability to not only detect drift or hallucination, but really see what's really causing the problem. Is that something that's on your list for the future or now? All right. Very good. Thank you guys for taking the time to answer those questions for us. We really appreciate it. And I will go ahead and hand the reins over here to our founder and CEO, Helen Gu.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Let me share my screen. All right. Okay, is that full screen for you guys?
Yes. Looks good.
All right, cool. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to actually talk about InsightFinder AI. It's very exciting, actually. Our team has been working on this product for the past 12 months, and we really heads down to actually focus on building this new product. Based on our previous success on observability for IT systems, so as a lot of you may know, managing distributed systems is very hard, and then managing AI systems just make that even harder. And so we have been using AI technology for observability solution for a long time. And so we are the user of AI technology ourselves in our product. So we actually know like how hard it is to actually make sure those models are working properly and produce the reliable results for our customers. So today we are going to actually walk you through some of the ideas and lessons learned by working with our customers. So first, I would like to maybe briefly mention, right, why this problem is hard and why this problem is important. So as we all know, systems are very complex, and AI systems are even more complex because you need to worry about not only the infrastructure that hosting those systems, but also the data and the model that actually runs those data and provide insights. The first problem we probably very familiar with is basically model drift, data drift. And this data quality issues also is basically the one of the reasons cause sometimes model drift, right? So as the model drift happens, and so your model basically give the wrong results to your customers, right? Whether it's a predictive models or other models. So that's sometimes impacting your revenue because if you make wrong recommendations to your users for your products, and so you probably will lose the opportunity for the revenue. So the second issue, as we know, we enter the Gen AI field, and so generative AI technology is very different from traditional machine learning model, right? So it's not just the predicting things, it's not just the classifying things, it's actually provide generate content. And so one of the unique thing about Gen AI technology is that it always give you answer, right? Whether it's because it's a statistical machine learning, and so it's produce answers based on the statistical reasoning, but statistical reasoning is not guaranteed 100% accurate. And it always give you answer, right? So if you're not expert in that field, and sometimes you are giving the wrong answer and you don't even know about, right? So like this is a real example on ChatGPT, and you ask these questions like which number is bigger, it will tell you basically 13.11 is actually bigger than 13.8, right? So if you actually make the business decisions based on those answers, it will actually cause a lot of problems. So as we seeing that those basic AI technologies being deployed in production environments, and you start to see like, you need to offer the SLA to your customers, right? So when your customers, whether it's doing a credit card transaction or whether it's doing basically a customer service with you, and slow response will actually cause basic user frustrations in your customers. And so also there's another big issue with large language model is that it has this token limit issue, right? So it cannot handle many tokens at the same time. And so this is sometimes cause basic service denial in your application, right? So all those issues actually will cause frustrations to your customers. So lastly, not the least, is basically security. And so as those models are quite open, and so sometimes the malicious attackers will actually leverage those prompts to actually steal sensitive information from you, right? So those are also potential risk to the AI system. So to address those challenges, so that's the reason we developed this new product on the kind of AI observability platform. So our goal is to help our customers to achieve reliable, secure, and scalable AI systems. So the way we do this is actually leverage AI technologies to do that, right? So we know monitoring all those complex systems manually using human eyes is no longer feasible. And now with the data, with the model AI systems, it makes things so much more complex. And so when you have problems, you even don't know whether the problems coming from infrastructure or coming from data or coming from model itself. So you need a holistic observability platform that can monitor all of that, right? And so we need to monitor the data pipeline, we need to model the model itself, and we need to monitor the infrastructure that runs those models. So, so at the core of our product, we have first unsupervised behavior learning technology, which is actually uniquely developed to actually handle large number of telemetry data. And so we can actually monitor the behaviors of all the systems, models, data. And it's because it's unsupervised, it can apply to any data, any system. And it's also performs self-learning, so it doesn't require manual tuning. And the technology has been patented, and also it has been licensed by Google for Google to actually monitor their cloud infrastructure. So we use this technology to actually monitor all kinds of data that are related to AI system. And the technology is basically perform online learning to model the normal behaviors of your systems and your model and your data. And then we will detect any deviations from those normal behaviors. And so after we detect those anomalies, problems, and we want to actually do a causal inference to figure out what is the root cause of those problems, right? And so there's maybe a lot of anomalies happen at the same time or basically around similar time. And so we want to figure out what's the root cause and how do I fix the problem. So we also provide the AI-driven auto correction technique. So we'll provide the recommendations based on the root cause we identified, and then provide suggestions how to automatically correct the problem. So at the end, so what you will get is real-time problem detection, right? So that's very important because a lot of the problems you want to be able to detect in real time before your customer get actually impacted or get frustrated. So those problems including data quality, data drift issue, model drift, LLM hallucinations, right? So like model errors, model availability issue, and model performance issue. And not only we detect those problems, but also we provide a root cause analysis and trying to figure out what's the reason caused this problem. So we also provide predictions, right? In the end, we want to be proactive and we want to identify those problems like the model drift, wrong predictions before that customer get impacted, right? So this is the prediction capability we offer. So that's what we have been developing. So this technology, the product is based on the 20 years of research I have been doing in university and as well as in Google and IBM research. So now let's look at how it actually works, right, in real world. So we have deployed this product in the top US credit card company, and we help them manage all their AI platforms, which runs hundreds of AI models for their the whole business, and that includes basically fraud detection, security attack detection, audit, compliance, all the basically the AI functionality they need to manage. And so before we come in, they don't have visibility into basically the infrastructure side because we work with the platform team. So the platform team only have the information among the model itself. So when they have problems, they are not clear whether this problem coming from model or data or infrastructure. And also their data is very coarse-grained, and so they basically collect logs and they do kind of manual inspection in a kind of daily or weekly basis. So when they have model drift happens, right? For example, because this is a credit card company, when you make a purchase, and so if you have a fraud detection, basically false positives, right? That means that you have a normal transaction, it will get denied. So it's a very important issue needs to be fixed. So after we deploy our product, help them, and so the first thing they can do is to unify the infrastructure and the model and data, all those data together, and so they can have the full visibility. And so as a result, they can actually detect and diagnose those availability SL violations within 1 minute. So because this is a credit card company, they do have SRA commitment to their customers, and they need to actually produce the results within certain with certain availability guarantee, right? They typically require 5 9 availability. So detecting those availability issues is extremely important for them. We also help them detect model drift within 1 minute before they don't have visibility in this model drift until very late. They perform kind of weekly manual analysis. Now they have real-time detection for their model drift. Um, so we also perform root cause analysis to help them identify, okay, whether this model drift comes from data model or infrastructure. So very interesting use case we help them discover is that at one time they had a model drift and problem, but the problem is actually caused the Redis cache is not being updated in time. And so this is an interesting case because it's infrastructure issue caused the model drift problem. So the other use case, we have been working with one of the top investment banks. So for their trading system, investment bank side, they have lots of trading date records they need to process each day. And so before they have basically data coming from different sources, and they use rule-based data conversion to actually convert, unify all those data into a centralized data lake so their downstream applications can consume that. But this rule-based data conversion is very inefficient, and it has a high error. So there's many consistency and integrity problems, and it's also very hard to maintain. Many rules are basically no longer valid, and many rules nobody knows how to change that. So there's causing big negative impact to many business that depend on this data quality. So we actually came in and deploy our unsupervised machine learning technology, help them to actually automatically detect those data inconsistency and integrity issues. And we not only basically detect the problem, but also help them to automatically correct those problems and generate consistent and correct data. And all those things are done by using unsupervised machine learning. So it's a lot easier to maintain and much easier to actually to validate as well. Because like, the machine learning, we actually tell them why we detect the problems and what's the normal value look like. And so this basically gave a clear reason, explanation on why this problem's being detected. Just to kind of at a high level, how do we actually distinguish ourselves, our solutions with other solutions, right? So you probably are looking for some solutions to solve some of the problems I mentioned. And so there's a lot of legacy systems, and But those legacy systems are not actually invented for AI systems. And so the first part is that we mentioned that we have this unique unsupervised technology that can actually detect these complex problems, right? And so it can fit into your data, your infrastructure, and your model. And so as a result, we can provide this holistic observability, so other tools cannot, right? So they typically give you one aspect, your system, right? Whether it's infrastructure, whether it's model, but not the complete picture. In order to detect and diagnose problems, you need the holistic observability. We actually can provide this fine-grained anomaly detection. Like I said, we can pin down each data records and pin down each transaction and pin down each prompt, right, where the problem is. And we provide this unique multivariant, multimodality algorithms that can help the customer to discover many problems and without generating excessive false alarms, right? So our false alarm rate is basic orders magnitude less than other technology. So we can also support any kind of data. So this is one of the things that unsupervised learning is important and useful. And it can support both machine learning models and also large language models. So it can actually automatically learn the model and data patterns. So you can easily apply to different application systems. So at the end, it's also help you save cost, right? Because we help you prevent those problems, which can cause big business loss down the road. It also basically allow you to kind of running those systems more efficiently. We do have basically intelligent resource scaling technology can actually automatically scale the resources based on your workload, like your token count, your transaction count to your models. Um, so rather than you have to worry about overprinting resources, and we have this technology allow you to actually efficiently manage the resources. We also recently provide LLM labs, which allow you to which can help you to hosting those open source models. You can actually testing with those open source models without worrying about setting up and spending a lot of money and finding GPUs to run them. So we provide a one-stop service for you to evaluate and test with them. So we've been working with Fortune 500 companies, and they have been partners with us to evaluate the system in their production environments and have been actually using our systems to help them to build these reliable AI systems. So just to conclude my presentation here, so our technology is to ensure the model accuracy and safety for you and help you optimize your model performance and as well as reduce your operational cost for your AI systems. We provide LLM labs for you to have this integrated model hosting, evaluation, and management solutions. So all in all, we want to provide this holistic observability solution to help you manage the whole life cycle of the AI system. So this is basically concludes my talk, and I will transition to our VP of product, Ciaran, to give you guys a preview of our product.
Thank you very much, Helen. And I was noting some of the responses that there is sensitivity to cost and people do need help and have plans to monitor for data drift and model drift and so on. So good, we have something to share with you today. So yeah, my name is Bryne. I'm the VP of product, and yeah, excited to take you through a platform overview. It's intended to be kind of a sneak peek, probably take about 10 minutes, and we will address some of the many challenges that Helen mentioned. So first, just go through some of the terminology. So as Helen mentioned, we were covering traditional machine learning models as well as large language models. We also have a concept within the platform of monitors, and monitors are really intended to be easy onboarding, essentially upload your data, pick the monitor, and the monitor is really like a use case, and then you will automatically see results. So you have a data quality monitor, data drift, model drift, LLM performance, trust and safety, and so on. So pick the monitor, you get what's called a workbench. Workbench is where you can do deeper analysis, root cause, troubleshooting, and so on. And then you also get dashboards. So the intent is we'll take care of all the pieces behind the scenes for you, the unsupervised machine learning that kicks in, as Helen mentioned, and we will automatically detect anomalies, the relationship between those anomalies, and help you find and pinpoint the issue when they occur. So within the platform, it's easy for you to add a model, add a monitor. Models typically have data associated with
Ciaran, are you
metadata.
sharing screen, by the way? We don't see a screen.
Too. It's supposed to be. Thank you. Try again. I'm just going to share my desktop. And then, how about now?
Looks good.
All right, great. Thank you. So within the platform, you can easily add a model. The model has metadata where you may define what the model is about, and it has data associated with it, the data sources. Those data sources could come from the likes of Databricks, Snowflake, Prometheus, Elastic, you name it. We can take logs, metrics, and other types of data into the system. And monitors, as I mentioned, are, I'll just go back to this previous slide. Monitors are really, you basically pick your use case. So pick your use case. Use case could be data quality drift, model drift, and so on. So this is an example of a fraud prevention model, and it has basically input is coming from Elastic. So the input could be the data inputs to that fraud model, which could be things like age and so on and other dimensions. And the output could be, for example, a fraud score. So you may want to detect data drift to see if there's any data drift that's happening on the inputs and any model drift that's actually happening on the output. So again, you associate data with the model, and then you have a monitor. In this case, we actually are looking at the output of that model and checking to see, we're actually checking the score. The score is the fraud score. And we're grouping it by merchant. In this case, the fraud model is working on many different merchants, and it wants to check if any of the merchants are actually seeing drift. So it's looking at it holistically across the various data dimensions. Then the next piece of it's the workbench. As I mentioned, workbench is automatic charts. Each monitor has a chart. This is where you do diagnosis, troubleshooting, look at the timeline, and perform root cause analysis. This is an example of a workbench. Somebody has basically onboarded data quality, and they're looking at things like data integrity. Is there data missing, outliers, some kind of field type mismatch? Or if you have your own custom check, we support regex and many different flexible ways for you to perform integrity checks. This is an example of a consistency check where we have a customer that's checking trading data and to see if there's actually differences between two different data sources, which is very important for them. So this is a workbench. It's distributed by day where you can see the various anomalies that are occurring. This is an example of the model that I shared, which is the fraud detection model. This is an example of data drift has happened here, where we have uploaded a reference model and we're looking at baseline data. So you can see where it's expecting a distribution in these buckets to be, this actual should be here, but the model is actually drifted where the output of the model is actually more in this bucket. So that's an indicator that model drift has occurred. So then the next piece of it is, okay, well, why did that occur? That's where we look at, Helen mentioned earlier about the causal inference and the patterns and technology that's related to that. In this case, we're able to look at changes such as there's a change event that actually happened where the model was actually updated. We're starting to see some data quality issues from that change, which in turn resulted in the model to actually drift. And then you look at, okay, well, how can we remediate that? So another change event was made to actually revert some of these changes and actually broke some of the inputs to the model. So you can see this all happens automatically. There's various monitors in place, but the technology underlying algorithms are able to detect the relationship between those various anomalies and events that have happened and consolidate them and put them together in this type of timeline view. Next piece, Helen mentioned LLM labs. One thing that we're really excited about is how can we help accelerate the development? How do we help people evaluate various models? In this case, InsightFinder provides the ability for you to actually try these various models within our environment. You can either use your own model or you can use one of the models that we have available for you. So for example, you may want to see how does the performance of like what kind of hallucination do we see in DeepSeek versus Mistral, for example. You can look at the various models, the versions of them, and then you can pick the monitor. This is an example of a trust and safety monitor where people want to look at hallucination, safety, toxicity, bias, for example. You can take that information, send the prompts either to the model in the LLM labs, or actually just use your own model and the outputs from those models. And then we can look at the evaluations. So this is an example of the various evaluations that are being performed. This is showing many of them that are failed. So it's clearly, you can see things like, is it hallucinating? Was the answer relevant? Was there some kind of, is there an attempt at PII leakage? And then you can do a deeper diagnosis to say, okay, well, if the prompt did fail, why did it fail? So we'll give you a readout to say, okay, it's hallucinating. We're detecting a hallucination, and this is why. The example that Helen gave earlier about like it's not able to tell the difference. So we're using various technologies in the back end to help look at the initial response and see if that response is correct or not. So just an example of drilling into the prompt, looking at the evaluation, seeing why it failed. And then the last piece that I'll cover very quickly is dashboards. Again, people are talking about cost, the sensitivities around cost. So you can see things like of the various models, how many prompts are we seeing, how many tokens, input, output, and what's the distribution per day. And if you are using, people might want to know what kind of infrastructure is powering this so we can provide visibility to that as well. So it gives you an idea of the costs that these various models are incurring. And look at anomalies, what kind of evaluations are failing, what's the distribution. Anomalies are more performance-based. In other words, response time, is response time degradation, what's the total response time? And then we'll give you a breakdown where those failed evaluations have occurred. Is it hallucination, relevance, bias, and so on. So it's really your full visibility into the model cost, performance, and health and safety. And that's it. I'll hand it back to John and Austin for the next steps.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Helen. Thank you very much, Ciaran. Really great to hear everything. I want to start things off as a question and answer, and it's going to be kind of an open forum, and see if anyone has any, questions they'd like to ask for the audience. We're happy to answer them. We have some very smart, intelligent people on the line that have built this product, so would love an opportunity for them to answer. But wanted to pass things over to anyone comfortable sharing, whether you'd like to put them in the chat or, just say them out loud.
I guess Helen and Ciaran did such a good job, they don't have any questions.
It might be the case. I'll have one to start us off. I've been speaking with various organizations, and I've gotten a few different common questions that we seem to get from time to time. One of them is which I'd like to ask Helen and Ciaran to maybe answer, and talk about, where do you see AI having the greatest impact on these businesses' bottom line, or across different specific business units?
Yeah, so I think AI is definitely changing everything we are doing now. So I think it started from like very simple things like coding, right? So now you can see like pretty much all the companies are adopting AI for code development. And so, like just not long ago, I think Meta and Microsoft revealed that they saying 30% of the code are written by my AI now, and they expect like 70% of the code will be written by AI. So I think the AI technology has been replacing a lot of like a tedious work part of our daily life, which is good news, right? So we don't see like that's actually replacing people, just like get a job from the human, but rather it's basically replacing, not really replacing, but finish those tasks that typically human doesn't want to do, or um, doesn't feel rewarded to do, right? And so you basically have more time to do something more creative, more important, and so it gives people time to actually think more, right? And so at the end, I think the AI technology is actually help us to save time, be more productive, and to basically invent more things, right? So this is basically we're going to be a very positive cycles. And so on the other hand, I think AI is also make things that before is not possible, now it becomes possible, right? So nowadays basically it's a very interesting hot topic now in like Silicon Valley, right? So before they were saying like a product that takes 500 people a year to build, now you can have 10 people to build in 3 months, right? So which means if you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of like kind of new approaches you want to explore, and before it's not possible, now it is possible, right? So I think AI is definitely empower us to do a lot of things more important, more beneficial for the human society. But at the same time, so the problem we heard is that AI is good if it's actually working, but if it's not working, let's say you rely on AI to write the code, right? And so they can write like tens of thousands of lines code in a second. And if all those code are working, perfect, right? But if one line of the code is wrong, and so you need to figure out where this line is, that's basically become a lot more challenging. So that's why observability is important, right? So you need to know when that issue happened. So you can have a peace of mind is that, okay, when I ask ChatGPT this question, do I get the correct question, or my teammates get the correct question, right? So it's extremely important to have that visibility. So we have been working with enterprise leaders, and so what we observe is that last year was basically trial, experiment, development, but this year a lot of enterprise is rolling out AI models and applications into production now. And so, which is very, exciting, but at the same time, it's very um, kind of kind of stressful situation for executives, for many engineers, because if those models making mistakes and you don't have visibility into it, and which can cause disaster, right? And so especially like customer service, if your AI bot is suddenly saying like wrong things to your customer, right? And so you need to know that. So that's why we believe this observability is extremely important. It gave basically people confidence on how to run and deploy and operate their models in production. And at the same time, it basically gave us the opportunity to also improve, right? So AI is not perfect. And so you need to know which model is works best for which aspect, right? And so if it's not good, you need to know it and you need to be able to correct it, right? So that's very important is that to know where to improve. So this observability tool is not just to help you detect the problem, but to help you to continuously improve, right? And so as we actually expand the deployment, we'll see basically new problems come into being. Just like, in traditional way, if you think about, okay, we are system person, we know CPU higher than 99% is a bad thing. But, how do you know whether PSI is larger than 1.2 is bad or good for you, right? So a lot of things becomes a lot more complex. And so that's where the tool is extremely important. And also we believe you need a holistic like view on everything. So rather than have like different tools give you different things. So it's very important to unify all the information together.
Thanks, Helen.
That was amazing. Thank you.
Any other comments from other folks? Or questions. I've got one I'd like to ask, but I don't want to monopolize. All right. I think the question I would like to ask, Helen, Ciaran, which metrics matter the most when you're monitoring model performance over time?
Depends on I think it can almost break it down into two camps, John. In my view, you've got an ML camp, and I think many people that are in the ML world have been performing, and this is not new. Many people like Helen gave the example of the credit card company. Like ML is not new for them. They've probably been using it for many years. And when I worked at other companies, people were using ML for personalization and so on for many, many years. I think the problems there, data drift, model drift, I'd say the real problems that I hear the most about is actually data quality. And, all the different checks that actually need to be performed, missing data, anomalous data, outliers. So that's a real problem for traditional ML. That is real as people bring on additional data sources and people make a change. Like, how do I know the data is still okay? I'd say that's the biggest problem that I see, and people to keep an eye on that. From the LLM world, it's kind of interesting because that's new for a lot of people, and there's companies that are adopting, like just say Gen AI technology, that are new to it, and so the expertise may not be in house, the DNA may not be in house, the ability to get all of that data and consolidate it and make that consumable. And I hear that from people that I know frequently. And some of these applications are being launched and internally, and they're not that wowing for some of these people yet. So I think they're very early in that life cycle. So I think the things that are important for the LLM world is, which model should I use? Why should I use that model? Which model is the best for me? Because people may start with, I mentioned ChatGPT, OpenAI, because it's easy to get started, but then it becomes very costly. So cost starts to become an issue. And then we talked about trust and safety. It's like, is it doing what I expect it's doing? Is it answering it correctly? And is there somebody trying to jailbreak the system? And then there's the response time. I think everybody that's used some of, ChatGPT, we ask it a question and sometimes it doesn't respond. It just needs to be refreshed. So I think there's those combination of things, which are response time, cost, which model. There's a lot more variables that are in place for the LLM world, in my view. But that's kind of how I'd answer it. So we're still in the very, very early stages there. Those are some things to keep an eye on.
That was a very great answer. Thank you, Ciaran. We appreciate it. Um, Anyone that would like to share maybe a question or any thoughts?
I got a question. Y'all
Absolutely.
showed the LLM lab. I'm curious, is that mostly open source models for now? And do you plan to add support for foundation models as well in the future?
It's actually support both. So you can actually access OpenAI, like Anthropic, Claude, and so Gemini, through the lab as well. Yeah.
Excellent. So we would have to have our own um, accounts and everything set up ahead of time, provide an API key or something. How would
Yes.
that setup go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll
Okay.
be an API key. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you'll get the API key. So the benefit here is that we help you with like kind of accounting, right? So we'll help you to track the token usage, and also we'll help you to so if you have the token limit situation, which is very common among like our customers, and so you can actually have like multiple foundational models and to set it up, and we can do a basic automatic load balancing for you. So, and the other thing is that these labs allow you to actually compare different models, right? So, for example, you can compare basically OpenAI with DeepSeek, right? So basically for your data set, for your kind of business use case, and which model works the best. So you can actually using this lab to compare the answers. And so we'll provide the evaluation results like hallucination score to basically relevant score to show the kind of effectiveness of different models. Yeah.
Awesome answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Anyone else that would like to maybe share? Okay, well, we can give you guys 10 minutes back in your schedule today then. If there's anything else that comes arise, feel free to email me, Helen, or Ciaran. We're happy to answer it, and definitely would love to connect with you in the future. But really appreciate the time with you all. We had different folks from various industries here today, and we really appreciate it. Glad we could walk you through our AI observability product. We have some AI tech conferences that we're going to be attending in person a little later this year, and we hope to see you there at a future conference. So thank you very much for the time.
Yeah,
Um,
feel free to sign up on our website. And so we do offer basically free usage for LLMs. And so now it's the time to sign up. And so you can actually experiment with different models for free.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this will be recorded. I'll make sure to send this out to all you folks and anyone else that would like to maybe view it. And thank you very much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.